Getting ready to go live. And I'm live. Okay, I guess I was live for a second there. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris. Welcome to a Comic Tropes live stream. Happy to have everybody here. This is, obviously, I do usually a pre-recorded and edited show, but I've been sick, so I've been trying to sort of supplement my material with an interview occasionally, some live streams. They're a little bit less of a physical drain on me, you could say. I am improving. I am feeling better. I hope to go back to work next week. I think I should be ready. But in the meantime, going to do a live stream tonight. Let's see, it looks like we've already got a bunch of people in the chat room. That's always exciting. Thank you so much. Hello to Ellis Grieger, Ben Howell, Nicholas Brush, Horizon Brave. Lovely to have everybody here. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a sip of water before I begin anything. And there's a slight delay between what I'm broadcasting and hearing back your replies, but it's really only a few seconds. Let's see here. James Stewart, hello. Gino, hello. From Peru. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I've got some different materials here tonight. A lot of times, it might start with me sort of finishing a sketch or something. I've already done my basic illustration here. Oh, let me pause here because there's already a super chat. That's incredibly generous of you, Nicholas. So good to see you, Chris. We've missed you. Well, I've missed you guys. That's part of why I do this. An opportunity for us to interact, try to answer whatever questions I can. Hopefully I'll tell some stories or some interesting anecdotes along the way. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the process tonight. So thank you very much for giving me that opening, Nicholas. And thank you very much for the super generous super chat. That's always exciting. That's really awesome. Made it worthwhile to do this tonight already. No, it's always worthwhile. So I've already done my drawing, my illustration. I personally like drawing with mechanical pencils. That's just what I like. I use a Graph Gear 1000 from Pentel, 0.5 lead. It's just well balanced. It's got a good grip. I just like it. And when you find something you like, stay with it. So I sketched out a turtle. I busted out my light box and got like sort of a nice clean version of it. I light boxed this. And then tonight I've got some nibs and my Bombay black ink. I like Dr. P.H. Martin's. I think that's a nice, really deep, rich black that won't fade over time. So I think that's what I prefer to use when I can. In the past, I've used just generic Black Magic, which is fine, but this stuff's a little better if you're curious. It's called Dr. P.H. Martin's, and I definitely recommend that one. What else do I have here? I've got a School G manga nib pen, just in case I feel like busting that out. I probably won't use it, but it's there for me. Let's see. And then I also have a Tombow brush pen. These are just a little bit firmer than the usual brush pens that I use. Oh, hold on. Got a Canadian donation here. Thank you, Jay Muse. Can't wait for the stream. Oh, can't stay for the stream. Oh, that's too bad, but look forward to watching the video in the morning. Great job on the Ed Piscor interview. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you to say. I had a great time talking to Ed. Always interesting talking to any artist or writer in comics, but Ed definitely has some unique perspective there. So thank you for the compliment, though. Anyway, so in a second, I'm going to start inking. Can kind of turn my brain off and focus on questions once I start doing that. And then after I get this inked, I have several different Screentones. Deleter Screentones. Nothing fancy. But I've got some Screentones that I plan on utilizing These are just patterned dots that sort of give things texture. Back in the day, this was a lot of times how indie comics would give their black and white books still a little bit of depth. Instead of, like, if it's just a drawing, there's not much depth there. And color was, at one time very, very expensive. So you could get these screen tones that come in various sort of depths and patterns and stuff. There's all sorts, but I've got a few here tonight. As you can, this one's the darkest one, and then I can utilize some of these as well, and maybe give Donatello a little bit more form. And you basically just cut that out with an X-Acto knife and paste it. Would I one day consider covering Geoff Johns and his work? Well, I did do that episode about Doomsday Clock. Would I go into him again? Yes, potentially. I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Geoff Johns from what I've read. I think some of his earliest work was his best. JSA, Justice Society of America, was probably his best. And I haven't really cared for, all of his crossovers and events. It just seems like he just wants to put everything in there. Just throw stuff in, and it loses something for me. Did I switch to contacts tonight? No. I don't have contacts. However, my glasses have always been for distance. During COVID, I got some diabetes complications. I have diabetes. And fascinatingly enough, I just have decided that I'm going to be healthy. So I have switched to a very low-carb, no-sugar diet, and it's cleared my vision up tremendously. I don't always need my glasses now. I've been wearing those for over 20 years. Anyway, interesting. Am I enjoying Invincible lately? No question. Invincible is fantastic. One of my favorite shows on these days. It's amazing how much the characters truly do look like Cory Walker's art, because Cory Walker, original co-creator of Invincible with Kirkman, and he was hired to do the character designs, and it's amazing to see it really look like Cory's style. I love it. Right now I'm drawing Donatello's bow staff real quick, and using a thicker brush pen before I go to my nibs. And the ruler I'm using, just in case anyone's curious, maybe you're not, but it's got a raised cork underneath, and what's nice about that is it won't make these lines bleed as I draw along it. See, it's got this little bit of it's raised up just enough, so when you go along, if it was touching the paper, if I was drawing with say a piece of paper as a straight edge, it can make your ink bleed. But you get a ruler with a little bit of a raised edge, don't have that problem. Nice to see everybody here. Hello Mandela, Michael, El Padrino, Sarah, Abu. Let's see. Longtime viewer, enjoy your content. Would I do a video on Casanova by Matt Fraction and Gabriel Ba, or Day Tripper by Gabriel and Fabio Moon? At some point I probably will cover those things, yeah. Yes, Horizon, I saw the new trailer for the TMNT game. I've always had a big nostalgia love of the Ninja Turtles. I discovered them in the mid-'80s. They'd been out for maybe a year or two, but I've always loved them. I'm having here basically a very simple sambusa, essentially meat and peas, and the only carbs I'm really getting from that are from the breading outside, but I'm not having much of it. Hey, my sister's here. Hey, Jean. So happy to have you here. You hurt your wrist from repetitive moments while drawing and can't draw for a while. Any tips to prevent this in the future? Jeez. It's a good question. And unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't really have a great suggestion there. I wish I did, but, honestly, that's really more something you should probably talk to your doctor about, and hopefully they have some advice. I wish I had better advice than that. I'm really sorry that I don't. I think I want to make his staff just a little thicker by, let's see, if I did it like, that's too thick. No, this is the right perspective. All right, no worries. Oh yeah, there were tons of artists on TMNT once Eastman and Laird sort of started getting busy with managing their empire. Rick Veitch was fantastic. Actually, Rick Veitch is the only one that didn't sign over the rights to what he created when he did his I think 3-issue stint. Stinks because it was some of the best TMNT at the time. But yeah, so many good artists that have worked on Ninja Turtles, especially when they were just coming out. Am I going to watch the Mortal Kombat movie? I already did. Wasn't a huge fan of it. It was okay. I found it a little boring. No big spoilers from me, but yeah, I wasn't super into it, to be honest. I wanted to be. I like Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I didn't really care for it all that much. There's a lot of scenes where it would just slow right down, and it was just like exposition dumps. That's the best way to describe it. Just all of a sudden, everybody talking about the lore and the mythology and everything. Oh, it was rough. I wish I liked it more than I did, but I didn't love it. I will say that one thing I liked, and this isn't a spoiler, I'm not going to spoil anything about it in case you haven't seen it yet, it just came out, but I really liked all the fatalities. They are super hardcore R-rated fatalities, and I appreciated what they did with the special effects there. Whoa, Nick! The president of Dynamite is back with another really generous super chat. Nick, that's so kind of you. So glad to see you're doing better, Chris. I am improving. The last few days have been good. Great drawing. We'll have to talk a Dynamite cover. I'd be happy to draw something for Dynamite if you were ever interested. But Nick, since I have your ear, there's a fantastic artist. Maybe you already know him, Staz Johnson, British guy. Great artwork, classic. He's been in the industry forever. Oh, so strong. He would like to do Vampirella, making her look like a 70s actress. As a British actress, what was her name? Something Monroe. She was in James Bond movies and the Hammer horror films. It's a good look for Vampirella. I had to agree. You should really talk to Staz. He would be fantastic on Vampirella if he wants to do that. It looks a lot like they took a really bland approach for something that could have been crazy and colorful. They added a lot of wild characters into it and did some stuff visually it was not bad looking. Visually it looks pretty darn good, but yeah, just paced poorly, I guess is the best way to say it, because they just slow everything down regularly with exposition dumps. Replace carbs with fruit. Yeah, I could do that. I've been honestly cutting out, aside from just now having this sambusa, breads, no. Even fruits, no. It's really just been meat and veggies for the most part. Very, very simple right now. Black Monday Murders by Jonathan Hickman? No, I haven't, although I really do like most of what Hickman does, so I will look into that. Black Monday Murders. Noir crime comic. I like crime and I like horror. That's a genre I don't think is explored enough in comics today. But we can all have our personal biases. Oh, Swangle, thank you so much. Ever read the I Kill Giants comic? I have not. I've heard good things. If I'm remembering correctly, was that written by Joe Kelly, the guy that used to do X-Men in the 90s? I'm not 100% sure, but I have heard a lot of people like that. Caroline Munro. Yes. Oh, and she's beautiful. Especially in the 70s. She was gorgeous. Anyway, and if anybody, you know what, just since I mentioned it, if anybody out there is curious to follow somebody that posts really interesting content on Twitter and including his artwork and opinions on comics and stuff, Staz Johnson. S-T-A-Z Johnson. He's great. He's great. Let's get this mask banged out here. And what I'm trying to do is mostly like draw with my whole arm as compared to like using my wrist. That's one thing somebody was asking about repetitive stress injuries. As much as you can, draw with your whole arm, and whenever you can pull towards you, you'll always have more control. We get in the habits of doing fine detail where we're like doing stuff like this, and that will hurt your wrist. But if you can, and I'm not saying I'm the biggest expert in the world, but this is something I know. If you can, try to use your whole arm, and eventually you'll start getting more and more control and strengthening your arm. Whereas if you use your wrist, that's going to cause the things like, carpal tunnel, maybe even like tennis elbow and stuff like that. That's going to be the thing that really causes the pain. So as much as you can, try to like use your whole arm. What did I think of Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Well, no spoilers from me, first of all. But I enjoyed it. You know what? I think I ended up being a lot more into WandaVision, which I wouldn't have expected, because I tend to like a little more grounded stuff. But I did end up liking WandaVision a lot. I liked how it was weird and different. But Falcon and Winter Soldier was solid. I think that the finale was really good. And I don't want to talk too much about it, although there was news today that Marvel has announced officially that they're making a Captain America 4. So yeah, all the good guys survived, if that counts as a spoiler. It is Joe Kelly. Okay. I thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure if I was remembering that correctly. But I've heard that that's good. So maybe someday I'll have to pick that up. Episode 5 was the best. I did like episode 5 probably the best, but 6 might have been my second favorite. It was solid. It was really solid. Oh wow, another super chat? Nicholas, you didn't have to do that, but let's see. I'm just so happy to see you again. Your videos have brought me so much joy in the past months. That means a lot to me. I wish I could create more. Pretty soon I think I'll be able to. I've started writing my next script, but that's taking me a long time this time around. I don't know what it is, but it's been hard. It's been I get winded very easily right now from the COVID, and I get headaches too, kind of close to migraines. But overall, I've got more energy and I'm breathing okay. So the important things are, I'm getting past the COVID. But yeah, I watched the first episode of Rise of TMNT. I liked it, but I don't have cable, so that's all I saw. Let's see here. Switch over here. I love the original design of these Ninja Turtles. They were kind of short and squat. They had a little bit more of a beak to their face. I was always amused at this one time, like in something like 6th grade, my friend and I were fans of the Ninja Turtles. And I was like, I would doodle them. And he was like, that's so cool. I was like, you should draw one. It was so funny. Let me grab a piece of paper. Here's one. And he was like, oh, I'm not an artist. I can't draw it. And I was like, sure you can. And so he went for it. And 6th grade, that was a long time ago for me. I still remember how he drew it, okay? So he gives it like the nose. And this was the headband. And the top of his head. And his like little tied off thing. He had like these eyes here. And then he had a smile with his tongue out. It was like this. It was like that. So there you go. That was like what my friend drew in 6th grade, and I'll never forget it because it was so funny and cute. All right, I should speed up so that I can get to the screen toning, which is probably why a bunch of people like decided to tune in. Thank you for the super chat, Dave. Let's see. Glad you're feeling better and back to streaming. Really enjoy them. Well, I enjoy doing them too. This is like a real pleasure for me to be able to actually talk to people that watch the show. It's my opportunity to connect and just talk comics, try to understand what people are into these days. Sometimes I get some good recommendations that I end up liking, so I get a lot out of it too. What else do I want to do here? I guess I'll do the outlines with this brush, and then I'm going to use the what do you call it? Use the nibs inside. Where did I get the screen tones? Oh, I got them in Tokyo at an amazing store called Sakaido. Oh my god, they have a whole floor devoted to manga supplies. It's amazing. They have like 2 rows of nothing but screen tones, just tons and tons. And I just got a generic set, hadn't really messed around with it yet. It is so fun to go there. Sakaido, it's called. On my second channel, Pros and Cons, I made a video, top 10 nerdy things to do in Japan, and I mention and show it there. Very cool. But you can get it on Amazon. You can just look up Screentones, or Deleter is a common brand of them, and you can find a lot of different Screentones that you could get on Amazon or probably other art supply stores. Oh, Iron Shell asked a good question, my sister said, but I missed it. I'm sorry. What's my favorite TMNT show? You know what? I think it was the first Nickelodeon one, for the computer animated one from like maybe it started around 2012, something like that. I think that's my favorite show. I like that take. What's going on with the Pros and Cons channel? Not much. I started that channel thinking that's where I was going to put all my live streams and interviews. But then I just haven't found it completely necessary to have a second channel, and I've been putting that stuff obviously on the main channel. So not much going on with that, but we'll see. What I think I would do with it is like live streams that aren't necessarily drawing. Like if I ever like went somewhere, like back to Tokyo or to a Comic-Con or something like that, I might put like sort of just bonus type content there. All right, enjoy TV. Thank you so much for the super chats, and thank you for stopping in, Nick. You're very kind, very kind. Is that a Tachikawa School G fountain pen I see in the top left? It is. That's also something I got at Sakaido. School G is just considered like sort of a mainstay for an inking pen for manga artists. Nothing too fancy. It's just that like it's kind of like using these nibs, except you don't have to keep dipping it in ink. So it's just another way of doing something similar. Wee question from a Scottish artist here. What camera do you use for your artwork? I need to get a better one. This is just a Logitech up here. Just a Logitech webcam. My fiance Chrissy got me this fantastic HD camcorder that I could use for live streaming, but I have not figured out how to connect it properly to the computer and use it with OBS. So, still trying to figure that one out. This would give me more resolution and you'd be able to see this a little better. Theoretically, anyway. Give me one moment. I'm going to eat a bite out of a piece of food here. My dinner's here. This is my dinner time. Lamb shish kebab. No carbs in that. Good for me. Favorite Turtles villain besides Shredder? Oh. In the comics, it's from the Rick Veitch run. He had this leech that I think it was Michelangelo, drew the mutagen out. It was a regular leech, mutated into a huge man-sized leech creature. Maybe it was called Bloodworm or something like that. So cool. So cool. But they don't have the rights to it. So you've never seen him in any of the movies or follow-up comics or anything like that. And unless Rick Veitch changes his mind, I guess you never will. Any tips for inking with a quill pen? Well, I'll get to it shortly. So, yeah, I'll talk about it soon. But it's good to have something that you can sort of like dab your nib on. It's that's something that's good to have. Have you been enjoying Immortal Hulk in the latter parts of the run? Yeah, I am actually. I still like that book quite a bit. I think it's awesome. Very creative, very different. I'm going to match up to $100 of super chats to support Chris's work. Oh, you don't have to do that, but that's so kind of you. That's kind of you, but you don't have to do that. I'm never going to ask for super chats, but I appreciate that. What's the last comic you read recently, and what did you think of it? Oh, okay. It's so hard to do artwork when you just want to talk comics. I read several comics recently that were new to me, and I love them. One is from a few years ago. Marvel had a Darth Vader series, I believe written by Kieran Gillen, with art by Salvador Larroca. 4 trade paperbacks worth. I know this is kind of old news, but he press gangs Dr. Aphra into working with him, and she is an amazing character. She's a morally gray at best archaeologist, kind of like a slightly evil Indiana Jones, but in the Star Wars world. She's great. And it takes place right after the first Star Wars movie. The Emperor is not happy with Darth Vader because of his failure there. You know, the Death Star was blown up. And so he's got potential replacements, and the Emperor just has him doing low-level work, and he's been demoted. And I don't know, it was really good. It was really good. Bloodsucker, yeah. Okay, so, hey, Ben. Oh, Ben's Brick Designs there. Ben Roman is an old friend of mine. Jesus, now that I'm thinking of it, Ben, we've probably known each other more than 20 years. We must have. And Ben has a great channel these days where he does Lego projects. He likes to build, especially Star Wars. That's related to what we're talking about now. He'll take their vehicles and build sort of mini versions of them. But he's also built a lot of other stuff. He built a replica of the Austin, Texas state capitol, and it's being housed in the Austin Capitol for a couple of years. It's huge and gorgeous. Anyway, have I seen Invincible? I watch it as soon as it comes out. I love it. I love it. Thank you for the super chat, HH. Love your work. Has introduced me to so many awesome reads. Wow, that's awesome to hear. But people were asking me, what else am I reading that I like? Another discovery recently, and it's there's only a few issues out so far, but it's a manga called Asadora by Naoki Urasawa. Anyone who's watched my channel diligently knows that he's one of my all-time favorite writer-artists. And Asadora is from it's a story about a girl who will one day defeat a kaiju, a gigantic monster. But it's told from the perspective of going through her life story, all the key moments. So it actually jumps back in time and starts in the 1950s, post-war Japan. And Asa is 9 years old, but she's so tough and resourceful and likable. And it's just awesome. And you hear that description and you're like, that doesn't necessarily sound like something I'd be super into. At least it was for me. But I'm like, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because Naoki Urasawa's never let me down. He's always ended up like captivating me. And sure enough, he hooked me again. So it's called Asadora. It's so good. It's so good. The art, the story, the side characters, just like, oh god, yeah. So people ask me what I've discovered lately. That's two of my discoveries, was Darth Vader from a few years ago and Asadora. And I've got other things, but they're going to be episodes, so I don't necessarily want to spoil anything too much, you know. If you were able to recreate a Marvel or DC character, who will it be? I don't know that I'd want to necessarily recreate one, unless it's maybe somebody that hasn't worked too well yet. So maybe like take something like Darkhawk and come up with a take on him, or really challenge myself and come and do Sleepwalker. Sleepwalker, the only superhero where the main guy goes like, oh no, there's trouble, I have to get to sleep. That's the way he releases Sleepwalker. I have not read Xander Cannon's Kaiju Max. I would be interested in it. Have I ever attempted to publish an independent comic? I have. I've done that many times, but not for quite a while now. I definitely need to. Hello, Cameron. So, yeah, I always respect anyone that takes the time to self-publish or get a publisher to print their book. I know that it's a lot of work. Remake Gunfire. Ah, there you go. Yes, Gunfire. That would be tricky. What do I think of Azrael? The only real Azrael stuff I know was from the original like 90s comics, Nightfall and everything, where he took over for Batman. In which case I didn't like him that much, but I liked the story that it told of like sort of why Batman works the way he does. Hope that makes sense. Are you working on any comics now? I am. I'm writing a couple that I would like to hire an artist for once I've got like the stories more fleshed out and everything. I've got like some of it written, and so that's what I'm working on now. Having COVID really made me think about what I want to do with my time, and a big part of it was, hey, you know what? I think I want to tell some of my own comic stories. So that is something I'm working on right now, and we'll see. I don't know how long it's going to take me to write it. What's your take on writer James Robinson? James Robinson is a good writer who I haven't read enough of his work. I really need to read his Starman run. That's been something that like I've been like keep meaning to get to, and I just haven't read it yet. But I've always heard great things. I love father-son stories. They like really hit me hard, and from what I've been told, that's what that is. So we'll see. It would be cool if there was an animated adaptation of the Mirage Ninja Turtles. Yeah, it would. Closest we got was that anniversary special Turtles Forever, where the 80s and the 2000s Turtles met the original Mirage Turtles. That was fun. You sound so much happier. Yeah, I guess I am. I'm happy to be feeling more like myself. I get wiped out still pretty easily. I keep thinking that maybe it's only been a few days that I've been feeling like this, but I keep going like, oh, maybe I'm a little better, maybe I'm all the way better. And then I do something very simple, like go to the mailbox outside, bring in a package, move a chair, and all of a sudden I feel really tired. Or even just talking right now, I can already start to feel like just the tiniest bit of tightness in my chest. Don't worry, my oxygen and blood pressure and everything is good. I can do this, I'm positive. But it drains me a bit. It more than it should, you know. I know my body enough to know that I shouldn't necessarily feel like this, but I do. They crapped all over them. Maybe a little. Oblivion Song is cool. Yeah. Somebody asked what I think of Kirkman's Oblivion Song. Look, I'm biased. I think Robert's got great ideas, and I think that sometimes when he takes a break and comes back to them, or has them adapted, sometimes they become even better. And I think that mostly just comes down to dialogue and like really making the characters feel like a fleshed out three-dimensional person. That's the only thing I'll say. Like, and that isn't a knock at all. That's just like an observation, is some of that. Yeah, but Oblivion Song's cool. Just got scheduled to get vaccinated. That's so great. That's so great. And you know what? I have read TMNT Last Ronin. It's really good. It's really cool. I read that we're at a point where we're like maybe 2 weeks or so out from everybody that wants to get the vaccine will have gotten it. And now we sort of have to just start focusing on convincing the remaining people that haven't gotten it yet that, like, hey, you really do need this, or not just for you, but for everybody. So that's the next trick. Did you watch the Cartoonist Kayfabe talk about Image Grand Design? I did! So, Cartoonist Kayfabe is another YouTube channel about comics. Maybe focuses slightly more on indie comics than I do, but still covers plenty of mainstream stuff. But it's from the perspective, for anyone who hasn't seen it, of two professionals, Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor. And I like their show very much. I've always tried to talk it up. Let me pause real quick. Thank you, Claudia, for the super chat. I thought the closest we got to a Mirage Comics adaptation was the 2003 series. Yeah, it was definitely closer to the original, wasn't it? I agree with you. Anyway, Cartoonist Kayfabe has a very, very loyal fan base. And once the pandemic started, a bunch of them got together and said, let's, we're inspired by these guys. We're going to make a story that tries to encapsulate all of the first several years of all the different Image comics into like one continuity. And a lot of different artists and writers and inkers and letterers and colorists. It's wild, man. Anyway, Cartoonist Kayfabe did an episode on it. So it's a huge fan comic, essentially. A huge fan comic. It's impressive what they've managed to create. It's big. That's not easy. I've done collaborations like that, back in the message board days, and they could go very slowly because all you need is like one or two people to drag their feet, and the whole project can get massively delayed. So what they created there is very impressive and fun. So more power to them. I think it's incredible. Ben would know what I'm talking about with those collaborations back in the Wizard World and Pencil Jack days. Ben says TMNT, The River, and Soul's Winter were always my favorite. And that's what I was talking about. The River is the Rick Veitch story. And if I'm remembering correctly, I don't remember the artist, but Soul's Winter had the turtles looking a lot more like turtles, first of all. Sharp beaks, pretty realistic, in a certain way. And they were maybe a little bit more like samurai. It was an interesting take on the material. What do I think of Scott Snyder? Well, that's another comic that I discovered recently that I adore, is Snyder's Noctera. That gets a very strong recommendation from me. Excellent world building, but world building is a dime a dozen. It's what's impressive to me is he's created a bunch of characters that I really like, and that's the harder part. Pencil jams, yeah. So I made a small mistake here, so I'm shaking up some whiteout pen. Mom was watching and wanted to comment, but she couldn't figure it out. Okay, this is from my sister. She texted me to say she's glad you're doing good. I'm doing a lot better. Michael Zulli was the artist. Thank you, Corey. Yes, Michael Zulli was the artist of Winter's whatever for the TMNT. You like 2003 Shredder even though he was an alien? It's not my favorite take on the Shredder now. So I have all sorts of tools here. Good question, though. Thank you. I did see the new Shang-Chi trailer. I thought it was pretty dope. I've always liked Shang-Chi. Only complaint would sort of be that it was still in the era where Marvel would color Asian people yellow. Literally sort of a yellowish orange. Not a great look. But the stories were cool. Shang-Chi is cool. I did not read Shredder in Hell. That's one I missed. That's funny, Cameron. I'm sure they were surprised at the end of the first episode of, whatchamacallit, Invincible. Yeah, it basically would earn a hard R rating if it was a movie. He's always been my favorite voice. Is so scary. Yeah, the voice work was strong. I don't remember who did it, but I'll agree with you on that one. All right, so I think that there I've done most of what I wanted to do here. With the outside details. Now I'm going to switch over to using a nib, and I think I want to use my 102 to start with, which is a little thicker than the 107, I think. Yeah, episode 5 was pretty damn dark. I love the animated adaptation of Invincible. I think it's fantastic. I like everything about it. Who would win in a fight, Shang-Chi or Bruce Lee? Gotta give it to my man Shang-Chi. And now he's fictional, so he can be a little bit more impressive than, like, you know, a real person. But yeah, give it to Shang-Chi. My thinking with using nibs tonight is, you know, a little more raw, a little sketchier, a little less flow than the, than the brush pens. And to me, that just felt like it felt right for sort of old school Ninja Turtles. Am I interested in watching Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix? Slightly. I will say, though, that Mark Millar has probably more than anyone else lucked out with his adaptations, in my opinion, of course, being better than the original source material. I think that that's true uniformly. Logan took from Old Man Logan to a degree. I thought Logan was better. The first Kick-Ass movie was better than the comic, I thought. It was funnier. The Wanted was more interesting. Everything. I don't know. And that's just one person's opinion. Oh, shoot. Here's the only tough thing is... Yeah, I smeared some ink. It's a little... Darn it. I really should be working primarily from left to right to avoid that. Once it dries, I can touch it up with a little bit of a whiteout. That's too bad. Done rebooting servers. Good night. All right, see ya, Ben. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bowser the dog. Bowser's been jumping into my Twitch live streams. Thanks for coming, Bowser. That's so nice of you. Just curious, what don't you like about 2003 Shredder? Probably just that he simply isn't a man. I find that like a little more grounded and something I can relate to it just a little bit more. But it's okay. I don't hate it, but that's fine. Do I like toast? I do like toast. Can't have it anymore. Too many carbs. I've cut out all bread. No more bread for me. Do I like the masked comics? Oh, yeah. I used to read those, especially in the 90s. I want to say John Arcudi worked on a bunch of those, and I really liked the early work by Doug Mankey. That was a discovery. He's a great artist. Yeah, that was cool. Randy's here. Randy, welcome. Randy is another guy that I've known for, I guess as long as I've known Ben, like about 20 years or so, maybe more. We also met on the Wizard World and Pencil Jack forums, and Randy has had a number of successful Kickstarters for his comics lately. Very impressed with that. Great guy, very talented. Lovely to see you. Good friend. And a Canadian, so he's polite. Favorite TMNT turtle? Donatello. Have I ever read Fraction and Dodson's Defenders run? Nope. Would you consider covering Hickman's Manhattan Project? Maybe. It's my second favorite Image comic, and one I think gets no love. Well, that's cool. It's good to like something that sometimes not enough people know about, because you can spread the word. Gonna peace out now, but thank you, Chris, for the cam info, and pleased to see you're doing good. Thanks for stopping in, GJ. Favorite Jeff Lemire work? Probably Essex County. But I do really like his Animal Man run from the New 52. Yeah. Stan Sakai drew the best turtles? Alright, fair enough. I like Stan Sakai a lot. It was awesome when his character Usagi would show up. That was always cool. Hello, Rojaws. Nice to see you. Do I like or hate Venus de Milo? I don't care for Venus de Milo. But I do like the new character, Jenica. So I'm not against like a new turtle or a female turtle. But I don't think Next Mutation in general, I just didn't care very much for that show. So that's more what's going on there. But I collect every version of Donatello I can find, so Next Mutation ones are extra tough to find because it wasn't very popular. I only think I have one version of Donatello from the Next Mutation show, so I would still get a Next Mutation Donatello if I could find it. Even before you getting sick, I stopped doing my skit intros. Any reason why? Yeah, I guess I just change everything up a little bit here and there, and I love making jokes and everything, but I wasn't necessarily doing jokey content, so I felt like it was a weird tonal shift at a certain point for me to make a big joke and then get into like serious discussion. Yeah, I did hear that there's going to be a TMNT reboot movie, so more power to them. I hope they can do a good job. Let's see if the school G Pen helps me do this any better. I've never heard of Kenk, no. Toronto's infamous bicycle thief, huh? That sounds interesting. Let's see. Next mutation is awful. Yeah, yep. Unfortunately, it is. Just realized that, like, when I lean down like this, you can't see me that well. Sorry. I'm sure that's a little weird. I like doing the oh hi, but I don't know. I just sort of started feeling like it just didn't fit that well. But that's not to say I won't do them again. I might do one again. We'll see. I gotta eat something. I'm just getting lightheaded. Just got my first comic book tattoo of Dr. Manhattan's symbol. Very cool. I hope you didn't get it on your forehead. That's pretty ostentatious. Is it like on the arm or something? I'll still do like episodes that at least I consider like funny. In fact, I've got one that I'm hoping to do very soon about a crazy Indian comic that I found. Comic book from India. What's funny about it is that it just ignores copyright law completely and just uses other superheroes that they don't have the right to use, and just sort of took some weird takes on them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I'll still do the occasional funny episode. We'll see how it goes. It's interesting inking with this, but I'm just too slow with it. I gotta use brushes more. Give me a moment here. I'm grabbing a specific one. What's my favorite rock band? I guess a lot of like the musicians that I like are more just solo acts, so that's a tough one. Let me think for a second. Favorite band? Nothing's really coming to mind off the top of my head, you know, because I like guys like David Bowie. I don't know, I like Queen. I like the Beatles. I sound like an old man saying this stuff. I do listen to modern music. I just don't know if it's my favorite. That's all. I like a bunch of the songs by Young the Giant. They're pretty good. They're a little more newer. Whoa, another super chat. Hopefully in the reboot, Shredder will be an Asian man from the get-go and not a reshot William Fichtner performance where they just stuck in an Asian guy. That was pretty awkward, I agree. It was pretty obvious that Fichtner was intended to be a new version of the Shredder, and at the last minute they just were like, oh, we shouldn't do it this way. Let's just say that he has a boss, and that's the Shredder. And we'll just throw him in shadow and have like one single scene with him, I think it was. Yeah, that wasn't so strong. Trying to think this through. Yeah, I'm just going to ink this all black, actually, this shadow. I was giving some thought to whether I wanted to do it in a screen tone, but it should be in pure black. We'll get to the tones in a bit. My favorite is Tenacious D. Tenacious D is dope. Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, respect them. I definitely prefer brushes over pens. Thanks for asking, Diego. You know, obviously up until just a second ago, I was trying to use my nibs a little bit more, but I don't know. Just feel more comfortable doing it this way. Hi, sorry, I heard a sound behind me, but it's Chrissy's kitty cat, Little Bean. So, if you didn't know, here's just a quick piece of sad news. If you've watched one of my live streams before, well, I'll get back to that. Let me read this super chat real quick because I want to respect that. HH, thank you. Thank you so much. What live-action film would be your choice as inspiration for an ongoing graphic novel series that may not have been given a chance? That's a cool question. Trying to think of like what would support an ongoing story. I'm having a hard time thinking about this, HH, but I will give you an answer. Let me just think about it a little more. Second super chat. Thank you. That's super generous of you. Ray says, love your channel. You've helped me find more than a few new artists and writers. Have an adult beverage on me. That's really nice of you. That's really nice of you. Hi, Little Bean. Little Bean is my kitty. Well, Chrissy's kitty, technically. But, well, it's both of ours. It's just that Chrissy adopted him just before we met. No, this is my food. He wants to eat my food. Anybody that's watched my live streams before may have seen my cat, Milo. I had him for a long time. He was, he almost turned 16. And sadly, I had to put Milo to sleep about a week ago. And it's been very hard on me because he's been I got him when he was a kitten and he's been with me my entire adult life. It's very hard to lose my pal. It was just his time. He was old. He had some health issues and I didn't want him to suffer. But it's tough. You know, I've been sick and I lost my pal. It's tough. But anyway, HH asked what kind of live action thing I'd want to adapt into comics. I could see something like Blade Runner working well, maybe. What else could work well? I was going to say Dune, but I think there was an adaptation of Dune made for the comics. So that wouldn't work. Oh, wow, Nicholas. I promise to match it. Thank you for your videos, Chris. You're loved here in the YouTube comics community. Wow, that means a lot to me. That's really, really kind. See ya, Nick Sayre. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Milo was great. He was a good buddy. You know, it's part of owning a pet, isn't it? That we have to at some point make that choice for them, and that's never easy because you're just like, oh, I wish you'd tell me. You know, like cats are really good at hiding their pain, so sometimes you just don't always know until it's like they've had something for a little while. And Milo had some kidney problems. We were treating it for a little while. He started getting better, and then after a while it just got worse again. Anyway, yeah, so that's not fun. It's just something I'm dealing with right now. Still feeling it. But this is a good distraction otherwise. It's good to talk with everyone here. Yeah, Nicholas was very generous just now. It's amazing. I'm sorry for the loss of your pet. Thank you. Thank you. There's my sister thanking Nicholas as well. Yeah, very, very, very kind. Very kind. Let's see what else. Okay, gotta put in his belt here. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm honestly at a loss for words. I feel like I should be saying thank you more, but it's like all I could do is repeat thank you, thank you, thank you a bunch. It's incredible. It's incredible. Thank you. What is a nib? A nib is technically this little metal piece at the edge of like, this is just a plastic holder, and you can pop them out and put in different size ones. And you dip the nib into the ink, and it just sort of like holds it here in this little reservoir, and you just sort of like use it like a pen. They last longer than a pen, typically. Don't necessarily fray as much as a pen. Gives you a finer line than what you get with any kind of a brush. So that's why some people like them. Some people really like working very technically. I like working on a very technical level in my penciled stage, but ink wise I really like working with brushes. That just I like the flow of them and the feel of them and stuff. So yeah. Cool question. Always a good question. I'm not wearing my glasses, Darth, because I've been focused on eating healthy, and my vision has improved a bunch, so I just don't feel like I need them right now. Just don't feel like I need them. Isaac Asimov's works. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I loved reading Isaac Asimov as a little kid. Great sci-fi stuff. Foundation and I, Robot was a good short story. Yeah, very cool guy. Great ideas. So let me clean up something that I smeared early on now that it's like dried. Claudio, I must have missed your super chat. You don't have to super chat it. Just repeat like the question, I guess. I'm so sorry. I'm going to let this dry up, and then I can go back and re-ink it. Let's see. Let me see if I missed a super chat here, because I saw these big ones. I'm sorry. Oh, I think the route they were going for was that Eric Sachs was adopted by Japanese parents and given the name Oroku Saki, hence why they sounded similar. Yeah, I mean, Eric Sachs, Oroku Saki, absolutely, it was intentional. I totally agree. Totally agree. What is your thought on the new Moon Knight show? I think that it's got some potential. I mean, hiring Oscar Isaac, that's a great actor. That could be really cool. That could be really, really super cool. Now I'm using a Pigma Micron, just a 0.005, which can give me a lot of the same effect as working with like a 107 nib or 102 nib. Dawn is looking nice. Well, getting close to the point where I'm going to have to be brave and bust out the oldie Screentonies. Because that is the next step that I want to do. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, yeah. There's my food. That's right. I moved it away from the cat. So good. Yeah, Moon Knight has a lot of promise. We'll see. But I'm hopeful. So far, I think that the Marvel shows on Disney Plus have been pretty strong. So that's nice to see. Moon Knight is a weird character, but because he's not had necessarily too much in the way of a definitive run, it gives you a lot more room to play with. So I think that that's to the benefit of the TV show. Characters that need to be corrected in film is shortening the TMNT and Wolverine. Well, that would make them stand out like as a little more unique. It's a little more of a defining characteristic for Wolverine, but that said, like they were way too huge in the last live action movie. And the second live action movie was still kind of fun for what it was. So I don't totally hate that or anything. But they were like massive hulks. Like they were just monstrosities, and it was kind of like, what could possibly stop these guys? I think when they're a little smaller, it's a little more plausible that they're like ninjas, you know, that they're able to hide, that they're able to sort of sneak around. In the original live action movie, they had to be person sized, because how else could you do that live action? You had to put a person in a suit. But I think that they should be a little shorter and smaller than that. Just a little. All these here so I can start now. Okay, good. Hello, Trinidad and Tobago's Trinametroid. Commandy, the Last Boy on Earth. Have you ever been a fan of it? Definitely, definitely. I like everything Jack Kirby worked on, I think. I don't think I've ever been disappointed. Commandy is definitely a cool post-apocalyptic story. It's wild. It's wild. All right. What else do I need to do on this before I can lay in the tones? I don't think much. You know what? But I do need to take away the pencil marks. So, got my handy dandy kneaded eraser here. Let me just stretch it out a little bit so that it can be used. And I'm going to erase the pencil, and we're going to start laying down some screen tones. I don't know if you've ever seen that. When you live in a sewer, you can't be big. Well, that's true. Sewers aren't necessarily as huge as they always portray them in movies and stuff. I'm out for the night. Thank you, Nicholas. It was wonderful having you here. You were incredibly generous. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful evening. Rubber kneaded erasers pick up pencil lines very, very quickly, and then you just sort of stretch it like silly putty a little bit, and ready to keep going. Doesn't affect the ink. Leaves you with a nice, much cleaner looking image. Only thing is, you still need to be careful when you're erasing over areas where it had some whiteout, which I used, because it can get like gray and muddy there. So I should actually be a little more careful around the areas that had a little bit of whiteout. That doesn't necessarily erase too well. Thank goodness we live in the digital age where you can actually kind of do the final cleanup in Photoshop if you make a mistake on like muddying something up or creating a bad smear. Like, it's back in the day, if you made a bad smear, well, you were just going to have to find a way to redraw that area or something like that. Start from scratch, do a patch. Didn't mean to rhyme, but yeah. Let's see here. Now I'm going to just touch up some of the area that I'd whited out over here. And when we grab some Screentone stuff, let's start doing this. Here we go. This is fun stuff to use because it's a great effect, and it's kind of fun to use, but it's tricky. You got to be careful. Thoughts on modern Kevin Smith? Haven't really been into Kevin Smith for a while. I don't dislike him as a person, just haven't really liked his work for a little while. Just not feeling it. Okay. Alright, let's see here. So, we take it off of its backing sheet. Actually, you know what? Instead of taking the whole thing off, I'm going to use this darkest one on his shell. So, that means I only need some of it. And I can use the rest later. So let me just put some marks here. You got to be careful that you don't damage the artwork underneath. But let's sort of create a mark. Actually, I need scissors is what I need. Trying to think of how to do this without like using up the whole sheet and making a mess. I should have planned for this and gotten some scissors to just cut out a portion. I'm just looking around to see if I have scissors downstairs. Doesn't look like I do. Alright, so I'm going to have to do it with this X-Acto knife and just think this through. Okay, so do it from there to, we'll say here. Fair enough. So I'm going to put this aside for a moment. Let me grab something that I don't really need to sort of lay underneath. That'll be my cutting board. We'll just cut this. We're going to first cut out a square. Doesn't have to be a perfect square. Exact knife, yeah, well. Got that. See, I want to save whatever piece of this Screentone I'm not using for the future. There. So, we'll put that aside for a moment. Bring back Donatello. Here we get to go. Make sure you guys can see what I'm dealing with. And we're going to peel off the backing board here. And this stuff is a little sticky. Not super sticky, but a little bit sticky. I'll lay it over the area I want. And I just need it to stay still. And now I go in with the X-Acto knife and cut away the parts I don't need. And you have to be careful because you don't want to damage the artwork underneath or pull so hard that you pull it up off the paper and get a weird wrinkle that doesn't match up later. Professional mangaka, exactly. This black, I don't have to be as exact. It can overlay and won't really ruin the look of anything. So if you've ever traced, that's basically what I'm doing, but with a knife instead of a pen. I know I'm a little quiet. It's because I'm paying attention to detail here. And as you can see, it gives me a pattern for the shell. I didn't do perfect there, but that's okay because I can go back in and just sort of give this outside turtle shell edge just a little more thickness with my pen. And there we go. Now it looks good. Of course, he's got just a little more here, so I've still got that to do. Good night, Sarah Ferris. Thank you for dropping in. Thank you for the good questions and recommendations. X-Acto knives require a lot of precision. Yes, yes they do. But I've got plenty of Screentone here for this little bit. And the more you add, like, you know, different types of shading and stuff, the more depth your character will appear to have. It's kind of fun, honestly. It is. It's very precise, but it's fun. Pushing it down, sort of like tamping it a little bit. Because it doesn't quite want to come up. The smaller it is, the harder it can be to bring up. Come on. There we go. So there we go. That was like what I imagined being the darkest part of this. And then I think I'm also going to darken in the wraps that he has both on his limbs and on his staff. But I'm going to go with the darkest one here, and then I'm going to switch to the next darkest, like a slightly lighter tone for my next step. This stuff's fun, man. All right, Larry's going to get going. I'm going to apply as an artist for your stories, so expect an email. If I may ask, do you want to see what any art that would? Don't quite understand that last part, sorry. When did I first start drawing? Geez, I don't know. I've been drawing since I was a kid. I'm not great. I just love drawing. It's fun. It's an interesting question. I've taken the occasional art class, and I like to go to life drawing class whenever I can, like something like Dr. Sketchy's, if you guys have that in your city. And if you don't know about it, look it up. Dr. Sketchy's is very fun. But mostly it's just sort of noodling around on my own. Has anyone out there played around with Screentones before? And if so, what are your thoughts on them? I love how they look, but I came up in the mid-'80s reading a lot of indie comics like Ninja Turtles, Tick, Crow, Usagi Yojimbo, a lot of black and white comics. I'll look up in just a sec to see if there's any answers. You went to art school and you didn't work at that. Do you have any comic, manga, video game, or literary character that you would like to see a live-action movie? It's not super important to me. No, I don't have anybody that stands out as like, I'd love to see this as like an adaptation. Alright, let's see what we got here. Perfecto! I'm very happy with that. Made a bunch of drawings on an SVA illustration course back in 2014. It was fun to make those pieces. I bet. I would have loved, I think, in retrospect, to have applied and gone to a place like SVA or something like that. School of Visual Arts, yeah. That would have been cool. Screentone brushes digitally. I think a lot of people do this stuff digitally now. It's faster than what I'm doing. It's definitely faster and cleaner. Greetings from Argentina, land of El Eternata. I know, I loved making my episode on El Eternata. I think that's an incredible comic. What's your thought on the process when using screen tones? Use it to represent shadows or colors? Both. Right now I'm using it mainly for colors. Mainly. Yeah, I would say it is something that assistants would normally do, but some of the big stuff the mangaka himself may do to get it started. My thoughts on the Justice League Snyder cut? A surprising improvement. I really didn't care for the theatrical cut, but since I have HBO, I did watch the Snyder cut. It made a lot more sense. Made me care about the characters a lot more too, because now they had proper motivations. I'd give it maybe something like a B to a B minus, I think. Something like that. Alright, this is my next darkest deleter. Screentone. And I'm going to use this for stuff like his wraps and his headband and things like that. Do I know any German comics? Don't talk with my mouth full. Oh, sorry. Jean says I'm gross. She's my sister. She would know. I don't think off the top of my head I do know any German comics. I'm always curious about comics from other countries. I love that stuff. I love it. But I don't love translating it, so it does need to be in English for me to be able to enjoy. I'm sorry. Digital screen tones with brushes, sure. Thoughts on Harley Quinn animated series? Oh, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. I only finished the first season. I haven't gotten into the second. I haven't gotten too far, I should say, into the second season. But it's pretty funny. Alright, so let's see. I'm gonna cut this out from here to here. That'll work. Any more dives in Golden Age Insanity planned? Stardust the Super Wizard by Fletcher Hanks might be a good one. I think that's something I would cover, but I don't know that I'd have too many jokes to make about it so much, because it's so crazy. It's like, how do you make a joke about something that's crazy? You know, like, I mean, it's already sort of funny by itself, but I would consider covering that. What else? I thought I had something else Golden Age that I was thinking about, but it's eluding me right now. Folks, I will say, this is like, in my opinion, the worst part of COVID, is after you recover, I do have foggy thinking. I can't remember everything that I know I used to be able to remember. It's so frustrating. It's insanely frustrating. I sincerely have trouble thinking of certain things. Like, right now, I'm thinking of going back to work, and all of a sudden I realized that there were at least like 2 coworkers, and I could picture their faces, and I'm blanking on their names, and that is not like me. Do I think Kaylee Cuoco did a good job as Harley? Yeah, pretty good. I feel like they may have hired her mostly because, they wanted sort of a name actress to help promote things. Otherwise, why not go with Tara Strong? Or, the original voice actress whose name all of a sudden eludes me. But that said, who cares? Kelly Cuoco, if I'm saying her name right, did a good job. Any favorite Grant Morrison stories? Absolutely. Plenty. We Three, their X-Men run. What else? There's more. A lot of his Animal Man stuff. I keep saying his. That's terrible. I'm misgendering them. Grant Morrison has come out as non-binary and would prefer to be referred to as they. I mean to. I'm just having trouble. It's awful. Arlene Sorkin, thank you. Yes, Arlene Sorkin. Arlene Sorkin, in my opinion, created Harley as much as anyone. As much as anyone. What an incredible characterization. You can write her, you can design her. I don't think Harley was Harley until that voice came along. Didn't do a great job on that one. Oh, it's because it was never really stuck down very well. Oh, darn. Alright, hold on. Let's see if I can... Oh, there. It's a little better. Have I read Doom Patrol by Gerard Way? No, the only thing I've read by Gerard Way was Umbrella Academy, which I like. Yeah, this is how screentones were done traditionally, blah, blah. That said, now we live in a digital age where you can actually do this stuff, with brushes in Photoshop. So, this isn't strictly necessary. I do think it's still a good look, and I think it's fun to get involved in such a sort of physical, hands-on way with the comic. It really makes you focus on detail a little more than you might otherwise. If that makes sense. What do you think of Plastic Man in general? Oh, I like Plastic Man. Plastic Man is interesting because he was a criminal, and then when he got powers, he kind of became a better person. And plus, he's got so much potential to be funny because of his personality and powers combined. So, I think Plastic Man's a really interesting character. He's got an inherent sort of conflict in his personality, which I think is strong. I know I haven't gotten every question because while I'm doing this piece of it, things are definitely, I have to concentrate a little harder. But I'm going to look up in a second and take some questions. I love chatting and answering interesting questions. Plastic Man, Elongated Man, or Mr. Fantastic, who wins? I would say that Mr. Fantastic would win because he is the smartest and he's very likely to outthink his opponents. Have I ever read John Sable Freelance or any other of Mike Grell's works? Yeah, not that, but I have read other of Mike Grell's works. I like his Green Lantern run is, in my opinion, the best Green Lantern run. Longbow Hunters is fantastic, just, in my opinion, the tops when it comes to Green Lantern. And then I've read some of Warlord. I'm sure there's some other stuff that I'm just not thinking of right this minute. I'm glad that people are talking with each other. I'm just looking for like a question or something for me. It's all about me. Got a little bit to clean up here, but we are starting to get closer to my vision. There we go. Just getting rid of little bits of Screentone till I can get what I want. Get his eyes. So now imagine, like, you know, this is only taking me, what, I've been an hour and a half to just ink and get this far with screen toning a single character, no backgrounds or other characters or anything. Imagine how long it might have taken, how many hours of man work it would have taken to make a single Ninja Turtles comic book where they used this screen tone stuff throughout. That's pretty impressive. And, you know, sometimes it's fun to do stuff like this that's arguably a little more sort of mindless, where you don't have to, like, make big decisions. When you're drawing, you're constantly making decisions. Where to put things, how to render them, layout, final product, etc., etc., etc. But doing, like, you know, even inking takes a few decisions. But, like, doing this, less decisions, that's for sure. You're just sort of making decisions on what tone to use and where, but once you lay it down, it becomes very much a what am I trying to say, like a physical task, not like a decision making prospect for the making of the comics. And that's kind of fun to turn your brain off. And, you know, as long as you've got like a studio mate, you know, you could start having conversations and stuff. But there we go. Thanks for recommending Stillwater and Ice Cream Man. They're both great books. Yeah, you're more than welcome. I agree. They're very, very good. You know what? I've got an idea for this. It's going to take a minute to make my vision complete. Are you one of the artists that scrape the Screentone to create highlights? I'm not going to be that brave yet. I do like how that can look, but I don't have enough experience, and I could do that tonight. Might ruin the piece, and so be it, but I don't think that's what I want to do. I kind of want to complete this. Okay, so I put just a little bit of the light one down, and now what I'm going to do is take a tiny bit of my dark one again and lay it right up next to it. Like this isn't easy all the time. Trying to think of the best way to lay it out. There. Because I envision this as being a bit of the underside of Donatello's headband, which would therefore simply be darker. Very, very meticulous of me to do it this way. Maybe this is more trouble than it's worth to line it all up, but I'm curious to see what it looks like, so to me, it's worth this time. Oops. Aw, thank you so much for the super chat from Imari. That's so nice of you. Super chats are what make me live. Oh boy, now here. Having a hard time with this piece. There. All that just to make this piece look slightly darker. I'm a weirdo. Now let me go back to the next lightest shade, and I'm going to try to do things like the wraps and such, and we'll see if I do anything more than that tonight. I might. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. This is the one that I want now. And so just sort of cut out a little piece here. Should be plenty. I think in my episode about what's his name, Kevin Eastman, one of the co-creators, of course, of Ninja Turtles, that I've got a quote in there, I believe, from him, from one of his interviews, where he talks about how using this Screentone, they would just constantly be dividing it up and trying to find the little bits that they could use because they didn't want to buy a whole new sheet. Which is just sort of adorable. Yeah, Ultra Mega is cool. Ultra Mega is great. Elseworlds or What If, which is better? I would say What If is sort of like a better defined concept of fitting it into continuity and stuff, and there's been lots of great What If. In fact, I really recommend the current Spider-Man, something like Spider's Shadow, I think, by Chip Zdarsky. That's a long-form What If. But in terms of overall better stories, Elseworlds may come out ahead. This is for that shadow on Donnie's headband. Thank you, HH. That's very kind of you. Hello to Carol Ann. Did I hear the release dates for the new Gru and Tarzan were announced? I did hear about that. That's great. The Bad Cow Bunch liked my interview with Kirkman. Thank you. Favorite Screentone? I couldn't say that I sincerely have one, Cameron. Interesting question. Just don't think I actually have a favorite Screentone. Just don't have enough experience using them to say, like, this is the one that I like the most. That would be cool if I did, but I'm just being honest. I don't know. Eastman and Laird is one of the ultimate rags to riches comic stories. It's so good. It's so good. God, they created something that was really just meant as a joke and just trying to have fun, and it became hugely successful, and I love it. I love it. I don't know. The characters are great. Who else has a favorite turtle? Like I say, mine's Donatello, but I'd love to hear if there's anybody out there that has a favorite turtle or a favorite Turtles comic, anything like that. I suspect most people know the Turtles from TV, possibly the movies, maybe even the cereal, but for me, it was the original Mirage comics, and yeah, I love them. Do I plan on coloring it? I'm not sure that I will, no. Was the Ed Piskor interview before you had COVID? No, it was while I had COVID. I just had felt like I was recovering a little bit and that I could do that. I'm glad I did, but I did it, like early afternoon or something, and after I finished, I slept for 5 hours. That wiped me out. That was really tough. I thought that I was doing potentially a little better than that, but yeah. That was tough. But that's okay. You got to push yourself to get better when you're sick, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's what I always do. Is I always just try to get back to work as quickly as I can. The best turtle is the lady turtle from the live action. No. I don't agree with that. People like, let's see, Raph, Michelangelo, Raph, Splinter, Leonardo, Lady Turtle, Team Raphael. I played After the Bomb and other Palladium games. The Turtles mean so much more to me than the cartoons. Yeah, me too. Wait, what just happened? Oh, darn it. I didn't even realize. I just pulled up the piece I cut out. Yeah, we can lay that in. Okay, this will require a little bit of touch up, but that's okay. If you haven't played with Screentone yet, I do recommend it. I think that this is a blast. I love it. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So what? It's awesome. I love getting hands-on with comics. I love to learn every aspect of them. I don't have anything against working digitally. I do it plenty. But there's something very rewarding about doing such a physical, like, hands-on approach to making stuff. I still own my TMNT Volume 1 collection of first prints, 2 through 20. Oh, wow. My Darth, that's incredible. I would love to have first print of the Eastman Laird run. That's sort of that's something I'd really like someday. We'll see. I've got issue 5 first print in great condition. Issue 5. Do I like the IDW Turtles? I do. I haven't read it all. I read maybe the first 50 or 60 issues and had a blast. I need to. I keep meaning to catch up, and I will. I definitely will. Geez, I just had a question and it's eluding me all of a sudden. Let me take another bite of food here. It's cold now. Did I ever read Monstrous? No, but I do have the first trade. Thank you for the compliment, Scroder the Night Wiggler. Cool name. Yeah, the first prints of Ninja Turtles are expensive, Ray, especially the first issue. That's a tough one. That is a tough one to get. You just have to suck it up that you're paying thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands of dollars to get that. And it's up to you how much that would mean to you and how much of comics history that is. But I would put it way up there in terms of how important a comic it is. One of the most successful indie comics, if not the most successful indie comic of all time. That counts for a lot, I think. Bought them all in the 90s. Nice. During your interview with Piscor, I was amazed by his work ethic. 7 videos per week, 2 pages per day, 5 miles on the bike, plus plenty of time for comics and hip-hop. Right? I think that's one common thing you'll see in, like, all of the interviews that I've done with all the different people is that work ethic. You don't have to be the best. You know what? Todd McFarlane said that. You don't have to be the best. You have to be more hardworking and put your stuff out there than the next guy. So what if the next guy does better art? If he isn't putting stuff out, that's an opportunity for you. So yeah, all I can say is, of course we all want to get better and better, but if you want to succeed, the one thing that all of the people that I've interviewed have in common is a really serious work ethic. So just something to keep in mind. Ed doesn't like you? Why's that? Tintin versus TMNT. Who wins? Well, I would say that the Ninja Turtles are a little tougher than Tintin, but Tintin tends to go up against much tougher guys all the time and come out ahead. He's pretty innovative, isn't he? So maybe I have to give it to Tintin. Yeah, the unexpected win to Tintin. Alright. Another bit down. Let's see what else I have here. Do I have enough? Yeah, I've got enough there for Either one of these. Do there. Good advice from McFarlane. Well, he's a pretty successful guy, huh? So to hear what his thoughts on success are, pretty valuable, I would say. Yeah, I loved that interview with Todd. I was such a fan of his when I was a little kid, and then his people reached out to me, so that felt great. I was like, yes, I would definitely be very interested. He wasn't even really promoting anything in particular. That just sort of shows that he's always got the hustle to let people know about Spawn. You know, he's not going to just sort of like rest on his laurels. That impressed me a lot. Like, it would be so much different if, like, you know, the Spawn movie was coming out or something that he wanted to promote. No. Just want to keep letting comics fans know, hey, I do this monthly comic. You should check it out. I would love to interview all of the Image founders. That like, not at once necessarily. I'm just saying, like, any of them. Valentino, Larson, Silvestri, Lee, Liefeld. I'll talk to any of them. But Larson would be pretty high up. I've always respected Eric Larson's work a lot, and I love that he's still working on his title that launched when Image launched in 91, I want to say, when he did his. He's the only creator that's still, like, writing and drawing his own books. You know, like, at least McFarlane's still involved in his, and that's awesome. But, like, not the same way that Eric Larson is. It's amazing. Daniel! Nice to see you. Daniel Carhoonan is in the chat, and Daniel is a comic book writer. He's written several comics and gotten them published, and the latest, Lauxor, Lauxor, is one that I got to work on with him. He did a story about transforming robots, but they can't transform anymore. So a detective robot is hired to figure out that mystery. And I was hired to do the lettering on the book. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking that out. Chris, you have a really relaxing voice. Do you think about a job in voiceovers for audiobooks? Never thought about that, but I do like doing impressions, actually. I do like that, and usually I think I can do some decent ones. They at least make my friends laugh a lot. I'll say this. I don't just go around doing impressions. That can be very exhausting if people do that. Like, that is not fun. But when we're joking around, I can slip into a voice, and that usually heightens a joke. I would be very interested in doing voices in animation. That would be something I'd be tremendously interested in, but I wouldn't really have the first idea of how to break in. And even though I sort of know some voice actors technically, I just don't want to annoy them with my questions. But thanks for the compliment. That's interesting. I don't know that I necessarily have the most soothing voice. I think it's a little nasally and stuff. But maybe you've just heard me a lot because you watch my show. So that's probably what's going on there. Is you're just used to my voice. I don't know. I don't know that I have a relaxing voice. Thanks for the Lauxor graphic novel plug. Absolutely, Daniel. If you guys are curious, just go to Bane. My sister wants me to do Bane. I'll do Bane in 2 seconds, Gene. If you're interested in Lauxor, just go to it was published by Marcosia. So if you go to Marcosia, you can look it up, and it links everywhere where you can get it, including Amazon. And there's other places depending on where you are in the world or what you want to support. But it's a pretty easy comic to get, and I had a blast. I think it's a funny and action-packed story, Loxor is, and I recommend it. I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't think it sounded interesting, and I thought it sounded very interesting, and so I recommend it, of course. My sister wants me to talk like Bane. I've noticed that if you cover your mouth, you get a better effect. I don't know what Bane would be saying, though, right now. Do I have a favorite MST3K episode? Well, I don't watch it that much. Not as much as some of my friends do. I've got a friend that loves it. But I do remember watching Godzilla and Jet Jaguar against Megalon, and this is the foggy thinking I was talking about. I can't remember the other bad guy. That was pretty funny. There. Got the upper bands in this done. All I need to do is 1, 2 knee pads, and I'm golden. Not Scottish Bane, I want Luchador Bane. I am Luchador Bane. I think you would be great at voice acting. I agree. I don't know what I'm doing there. Thanks. I think I could do some good voices. I think I've got a couple in my repertoire that I could pull out, but that it would be slightly annoying if I just did voices right now. It's when you force yourself on people like that, it's not as funny. Tom Hardy is now wondering where his next job is going to be. Good impression, yeah. Exactly. Is the foggy thinking temporary? I don't know. I hope so. It's very annoying. At the risk of sounding egotistical, I do understand how this will sound. I've always prided myself in being a fairly smart person. I feel like I can figure out most things that I need to. I feel like I did well in college. You know, I don't think I'm a dummy. I think of myself as a smart person. So to currently have little bits where I just can't seem to remember what I'm trying to say or like who I'm thinking of is very frustrating. It's very frustrating. I always thought the gray in comics was watercolor. Well, I guess it could be sometimes, but go back to a lot of those 80s and 90s indie comics and you'll see that it's screentones. And the manga today, manga is still very much screentones. How did Donatello become your favorite? How did he? Some of it was I really liked the voice actor on that original 80s / some of the 90s cartoon. That's some of it. So I just sort of paid attention to him a little more. I don't know 100%, Daniel. He slowly evolved to just sort of be my favorite. I guess I like the smart guy. You know? I didn't cut a big enough piece. So I'm starting over for this this bit. Yeah. Which superhero should Zack Snyder direct next? I don't know. I would just say this. I like him just fine as a director, just not as a writer. So he has good ideas, but I don't really care for overall his worldview and philosophy and everything. So personally, I'd just say, as long as he's just sort of work for hire, I'm on board. That said, the trailer for Army of the Dead looked pretty dope. So will I be seeing that? Yeah. The voice actor from the TMNT in the 80s is the voice of Raphael. Well, yeah, no. That's not quite right. No. The voice of Raphael in the 80s, Rob Paulsen, does Donatello on the Nickelodeon TMNT. So, close. May have come in late, but brain fog is a real thing, but depending on severity can be beaten by the right chemistry. For many, it's just about fixing diet and taking supplements. Well, I'm eating very, very healthy these days because I want to keep my diabetes in control, which I am. My numbers are fantastic. I'm eating very, very good. I'm losing weight, but not like rapidly. So I feel I'm proud of that. Hopefully my thinking will improve. You know, it isn't like I'm a totally different person. I can just tell that I'm just not remembering certain things, and that's very, very frustrating to me. There we go, getting a little bit more done. Hello from Dominican Republic. Oh, cool. Thanks for the great content. Well, thanks for watching. That means a lot to me. Barry Gordon was Donatello's 80s voice. Well, I like that voice. That was very cool. This might be a dumb question, but how are you cutting the screen tone but not the paper underneath it? Well, to be honest, I am slightly cutting the paper underneath it. It's just a matter of pressure. That's all it is. As long as you don't cut it too bad. But, you know, Bristol is what I'm working on. It's fairly thick stuff. So you've got a little bit of room for error, I would say. Not a dumb question at all. Good question. So there's one knee pad. Got one more to do here. And then we'll see what else I decide to do. Thinking of doing a little bit of shading with a lighter tone. So, pretty cool how they got the original voices for the Turtles for that one crossover episode. Actually, I don't think they got all the originals back. I think that one or two of those were replacements. I could be wrong, but I think one or two of them were replacements, actually. Because I don't think Leonardo sounded right, if I'm remembering correctly. Look up Turtles Forever. I don't think Leonardo was the same. They should bring back Selling Me. Why the Band-Aid? Oh, good eye, Jeannie. I don't know what I did, but I sliced my finger open here somewhere. I don't know where. All of a sudden I just noticed that I'd cut it up. But covering it up here, I feel fine. Alright, let's see what I've got here. Got one big knee pad. All right, what else we got here? I enjoyed your recent Ed Piskor interview and enjoy your channel in general. Well, thank you very much. What is the best comic book movie and why is Spider-Verse? Don't quite understand that second part of the question. What else? What's your favorite adaptation of the Turtles? Probably the original live-action movie from 1990. Yeah. You telling me that Leonardo wasn't voiced by Liquid Snake in Turtles Forever? Gonna look into this. I'm pretty sure it was... It's been a long time since I've seen that. You know, that came out a while ago. But, yeah. Yeah, I'm not talking about the 2012 crossover with, like, the Nickelodeon show and the original cartoon, the Fred Wolf thing. I'm talking about Turtles Forever. I think Turtles Forever used some replacements for their 80s Turtles. Obviously, Rob Paulsen was there, because he does, you know, both Raphael in the old version and Donatello in the new one, but, yeah. Indie comic you'd like to see adapted into a film? Ooh. is a good question. Oh, you know what I would like to see? Blankets. I think that would make an amazing romantic movie. Yeah, blankets. Oh, also, Fun Home. That was adapted into a play, but I think it would also make an incredible movie. Faust, yeah. Wasn't Faust adapted into a movie, actually? I think it was. I don't know if it was a good movie, but I'm pretty sure it was adapted into a movie. What was I thinking of? Does anyone have good recommendation for a good set of PlayStation 4 like headset? Because I've been doing a little live streaming on Twitch, and I'd love to have a better headset for doing that with people so that they could hear me well. And yeah, that's I don't know what's a good headset. I don't really have one at all. I just have a pair of headphones and I plug in a USB mic. It's really ghetto how I do it. So this is something you can do. You can just sort of scratch and you can get like interesting effects there, but not something I really need for this, but it is cool. All right, least fave version of the Turtles. Oh, I don't know. I don't know that I have a least favorite version, although I never really read the Archie comics, which was sort of based on the 80s, 90s cartoon. So if I had to choose one, I guess that, but I don't really dislike any version of the Turtles. Turtles are awesome. A Bone animated is long overdue. Well, that's true. Bone would be fantastic if they could do some sort of adaptation of that. I'm pulling out yet another deleter sheet, a different tone, because I've decided to put some shadows in a couple areas of this. And so let's see how that goes. Good idea to get a new headset. In the last live stream, I had trouble hearing you over the game audio. Yeah, I made an adjustment over that eventually, but yeah, Astro's headset is a good one. Okay. And somebody is mentioning how Bone is being adapted into a Netflix animated series. Good. Yeah, I don't know how much it is, but fortunately, I've gotten some super chats tonight. Like maybe I'd use a small portion of it towards something like that. I think that would be an appropriate use potentially. I don't know. Man, I'm having a great time tonight. Even if I'm not talking much, I'll just let you know that I really like playing with this Screentone stuff. I'm not going to stop until I feel that this piece is ready. I like this. Dan Green played the 1987 Leonardo in Turtles Forever. None of the 87 actors were in Turtles Forever to cut costs. I thought so. Thank you, Daniel. I thought so. Of course, Rob Paulson, though. Rob Paulson did both Raphael and Donatello, but the other three, no. Oh, yeah, Next Mutation. What am I thinking? That's not my favorite version of the Turtles. Yeah, that might take the cake. That might take it. All right. This is way more open to my interpretation. because I'm using this as a type of shadow. So I can be a little more loosey-goosey with it. As compared to staying within the lines for a specific element of what I drew. If you apply shade to Donnie's skin, will you apply shade to the back shell and pads? Well, I did. The back shell and pads. Oh, I see. Well, I applied like a shading to those as well. No, probably not, because I'm not doing this like to get like 100% realism necessarily. I'm just sort of adding texture to the story. What's that look like? Okay, I need to actually needs to be taken off of that dark black because that looks weird. The live VHS show when they were a real rock band. So to anyone that doesn't know, I collect every version of Donatello that I can find, and that includes the version that's in the rock band costume from that. There's an action figure of that. The author of Naruto said he couldn't use Screentone much because it was too time-consuming to use. Do you agree? It is time-consuming. I can't imagine making like a weekly manga using this. I'm positive they must primarily use it digitally at this point. They must. Just using brushes. But I just love the way it looks, so I'm having fun doing something old school here. How do you feel about Last Ronin? Oh, I love Last Ronin. Yeah, very strong. Great to see something that both the original creators, Laird and Eastman, are involved in after all this time. What a partnership. You just want to root for those guys to, do whatever they want. Technically, Peter Laird could make whatever Ninja Turtles comic he wants. He sold the rights to Viacom, but he did retain the right to do a volume of the Ninja Turtles comic whenever he feels like it. So that's separate from like the IDW or anything. If he ever felt like doing a Ninja Turtles comic again, he could. He just couldn't like do the adaptations and stuff like that, like get the toys, but he could do another comic if he ever felt like it, which I think is a really cool right to have retained. It shows that he does love, the original sort of version of everything. I love that. It's an interesting sort of look, isn't it? Like with this just need to tamp it all down. Actually, I'm going to cut off this piece that overlaps the black because I feel like all it does is lighten it. Doesn't look good. Which franchise should cross over with TMNT? Something from Image. Oh, Savage Dragon. I mean, they did in the comics, but Savage Dragon or Hellboy would both be really cool in animation. Boy, all of a sudden having a tough time getting this little piece up. There we go. Nope, that's just a bit of it. Screen tones. Oh, you crazy little tool. Did anybody else watch the new Mortal Kombat movie? I wanted to like it. I didn't love it, but I'm curious if anybody else preferred it. Oh, you can barely see that tone on this. Here, I'll bring it up a little closer. So I did a small shading on this, but boy, you bring it back here and all of a sudden you can't see it. Would you ever cosplay? If so, who? I don't know if I look like anybody. I guess I could always play a character that's fully masked. But anything that shows this. I also am not in the best shape of my life. I mean, I'm getting better, but right now, I don't think I have the physique to pull off a Spider-Man. Yeah, a bunch of people talking about it. I would say Mortal Kombat has some good moments, but otherwise is kind of boring. Yeah, I agree, Ben. The one thing I'll give it is that the fatalities are incredible. The fight scenes, they're a little too chopped up edit-wise. Yeah, I don't think that there's anything that amazing martial arts-wise on display, which is a real shame when you consider that they got Joe Taslim to play Sub-Zero. He clearly has skill and talent. I don't think he does anything that amazing like he does in, say, The Raid. So, yeah. I think you're saying you want to be Spider-Man. If I could dress up as anybody and I could pull it off, yes, I would love to be Spider-Man. That would be fun. My favorite sci-fi movies are Silent Running and Soylent Green. What are yours? I'd have to think about it. I mean, if Back to the Future counts or Ghostbusters count, if they do as sci-fi, they're way up there. And I like stuff like, Star Trek 234. I like that a lot. But other classic sci-fi movies that I enjoy, I like those ones that you mentioned. The original Planet of the Apes, and then the 3 recent, Rise of the Planet of the Apes movies. That was good sci-fi. For real serious sci-fi, I really like the movie Primer. That's definitely a mind bender. There's so many actually now that I think of it, though. There's just so many. The most recent Blade Runner movie was great. It's hard to list them all. Gonna slightly darken, give a little texture to his bow staff, I think. You could cosplay as Uncle Ben. Thanks. Wait, Uncle Ben from Spider-Man or Uncle Ben from Oh no, that's not Uncle Ben. I was thinking of Star Wars, but that's Uncle Owen. I got confused because I'm an idiot. Why did I get confused? I'm dumb. Oh, Chris Sears, thank you. Good night, all. Thanks for letting me hang out. Hey, anytime. Thank you for the super chat. Very kind of you. That's amazing. That's awesome. What is the most popular comic you don't like? Oh, most popular comic I don't like. Well, it's probably something along the lines of Blackest Night. I didn't really care for that at all. It just left me cold. Not trying to do a pun there. Didn't really care for that. But that was pretty popular. A lot of people seem to love it. But you know what? There's so many great comics that I sincerely don't focus too much of my time on what I don't like. Because there's so much that I do. So, good question. I just choose not to focus too much on what I don't like. I just sort of acknowledge it and move forward. Unless I think that there's something egregiously bad or wrong with it that we can at least learn from. Or Uncle Ben from the Rice. No, you will never see me cosplaying as Uncle Ben from the Rice. You will never see that. That is dangerous. What's my favorite DC animated movie? I haven't seen all that many of the DC animated movies. What's a good one? Trying to think of what I've even seen. Because like I say, I haven't seen many. I think I saw Under the Red Hood was one I think I saw that was decent. And, there was a Wonder Woman movie with that actress from Felicity played Wonder Woman. See, this is the kind of stuff that I should be able to think of. Kerry Russell. That one was actually really cool. I liked that. That was a good DC animated movie. But I haven't seen that many, so there's not many that I can go through to say, this was good, this wasn't good. Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson's Beta Ray Bill book. I definitely did get a chance to check it out, and I love it. Thoughts on the upcoming James Gunn Suicide Squad? Looks like a blast. Looks very, very, very fun. I definitely am hopeful. The correct answer is All-Star Superman. That was a good adaptation. Better comic, but a good adaptation. Yeah, that was a good adaptation. One of the last things by the great Dwayne McDuffie before he passed away. He adapted that, and he did do a good job. So, you know what? You're right. That's probably the correct answer, Phoenix. And shame on me for not thinking of it. Here, I gave his bow staff some texture, which I know you guys can't necessarily see too well, but when I get it a little closer, you can see that there's a little bit there. And then there's just one last piece that I think I want to give a little bit of shading to. Let me see if I can use this piece here. Because this part of his leg should really have shading. Rukor does a super chat and says, have you ever done a video on the Solson Turtle draw books? No, I don't think I have, but I did mention them I'm trying to remember what episode I did. I closed the episode out. Solson also did Ninja Turtles How to Do Martial Arts books, and I do a gag where I'm reading how to spin the bow staff like Donatello, and I mess up and I knock myself over the railing of my second story deck. So there's an episode where I do that, and I've read the book. I read the book there, and I did an episode on Jim Lee where I talk about his first work, which was at Solson on Samurai Santa. So I've mentioned them before. I'm definitely aware of them, but I didn't review or do a dedicated episode. I'm not sure that it's really worth it because Solson's books are, in general, not very good. Sometimes they'd have a fairly talented artist working for them, but yeah, generally their ideas are pretty lame. Not my favorite. I think The New Frontier would have made a great TV series. Oh, maybe so. What comic book movie should Neil Breen do? I love Neil Breen. He's so bad, but he doesn't seem to know it. I hope he never figures it out, and I hope he just keeps making movies. Oh my God, what would I love to see him do? It would have to be something sort of street level that maybe he thinks he could pull off. Maybe something like The Phantom with Neil Breen as the titular superhero. That would be fantastic. If you've never seen a Neil Breen movie, I think I recommend starting with Fateful Findings, and what a treat you're in for if you've never seen his stuff before. It's so badly done. If you're amused by stuff like The Room, if you think that like, wow, how did nobody tell him? Well, all I can say is then try Neil Breen's movies. And he just keeps making them. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I have an issue of Reagan's Raiders. Not very good. Not very good. Just adding a few last little touch-up details here and there. Missed a pencil mark here. There we go. And, I think I've created what I want to create. Not sure what anybody's thoughts are on it, but I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, this was a blast to play with Screentone, use a bunch of different inking tools like the inks and the nibs, use like a brush pen. Now I'm using like a technical pen. So much fun tonight. I really had a great time. I sincerely appreciate like some of the super chats and stuff. I'm gonna do a little bit more. I'm not quite wrapping up, but I'm getting there. And I've had a great time tonight. So thank you everybody for helping make it so wonderful. The questions, the comments. I know I can't get to everybody's question, and I sorry, but I appreciate you asking them. It makes life more interesting. Alright, I'm going to look up at the comments in just a second. Alright, let's see. Martial law? Yeah, I should cover that someday. What kinds of pens and brushes are you using? I started by doing a bunch of the outer edges with like a Tombow brush pen. A fine one. Which I got in Japan, but I think you could probably find it in an art store here if you looked. Then I used some Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay Black India ink, which I think is pretty exceptional, and some nibs for a couple of the finer details here and there. And finally, once that was done, I moved on to doing Screentones tonight, which I really enjoyed playing with. I hope you learned maybe a tiny bit, or at least were entertained by what I've done tonight. It's meant a lot to me. I've had a good time tonight. This has been great. Remember Blind Justice, the 9/11 comic? I think you're talking about Civilian Justice, if you're talking about the book that I reviewed. I've never heard of Screentone. Thanks for the lesson, Chris. It's fun. It's so much fun to use. Is it time consuming? Well, you've seen that. I'm sure the more you use it, like, you could get a little faster. But yeah, it's time consuming, but it's worth it because it creates a cool effect. I will honestly say, if you saw this in person, I sincerely think it looks a little better. And on top of that, I would say if I scanned this and you could look at it like closer, I think it might look a little bit better as well. But, that's in the eye of the beholder ultimately. But yeah, in my opinion, I think it would look a little better in person, or on the printed page than what you're seeing here. Damn, I really had a good time playing with this stuff. Just clean something up. Thank you so much. As an aspiring artist, I love watching other people's processes. Thank you. That's nice to hear. I don't consider myself a great artist, but I still at least know how to use some of the tools and can speak to it, and we can have some fun working on something unique. together. So thank you. Have I tried inking with the Sable Hair number 3 brushes? I have. It's a blast. I misplaced mine, so I need to buy some new horsehair brushes if I was going to work that way. But I do like working with that stuff. So maybe in a future live stream, I could do something like that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to give this guy any color because I don't think that would work very well with the screen tones. I think that like this was made to be black and white. That's what it was made to be. And I think it works like that. I sent you Spider-Man, Chris. What did you mean? What do you mean you sent me Spider-Man, Chris? Oh, wait. You mean you like a picture of me like as a kid in a Spider-Man suit? Oh, hold on. All right, my sister sent me something I will share. Ha! Yes. Oh my God. All right. So this is us as very young children. Let's see. I have to do it at a little bit of an angle so that you can like actually see it without the reflection. But this is me. That was like this is basically footy pajamas and a store-bought like plastic mask. So it didn't cover my whole head. They just didn't have stuff like that back then. And then there's my baby sister. And I don't know, were you a ghost or something? I don't know what you were, Jeannie. But look at that. That is me dressed up as Spider-Man. And as I got older, I still wanted to wear these onesie pajamas, but of course I grew out of them. So my mom cut off the feet, and I would sort of like be in this shrinking suit as a toddler. Oh, I loved that. I loved it. It would be neat if you just color the mask. It's an interesting idea. I agree, but I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to do it. It's an interesting idea. I think I'm going to just leave it as is, although I can't help but have fun just doing little touch-ups here and there on like just add little flecks of wear and tear to Donatello, something like that. I was a pillowcase ghost, the spookiest kind. Spidey was one of my first Halloween costumes, too. That probably was, like, my first Halloween costume, at least that I remember. I don't know. What's the corrector whiteout pen that I use? Oh, yeah. It is pretty useful. It's so hard to use with, like, a brush, in my opinion. It's not very exact, but this is called Presto Fine Point Jumbo Correction Pen. It's just jumbo because it's got a lot of ink in here. And you sort of squeeze this part to like put a little ink out. You just shake it up so that it's sort of active and everything. It's made by Pentel, and it's a pretty nice little point so that you don't smear too much whiteout around. Like, I think if you glance at this, you can't really tell that I used whiteout up here. Maybe you can see a little bit of a darkening around here that I used, but not too bad. Would you sell me that Wayne drawing in the back? Well, I've sort of used it now as like an area where I do like lots of little marks and stuff. So I guess I could always cut it. I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of did it for myself. Will you give Donnie Screentone toenail polish? I'm pretty sure that the Ninja Turtles don't have nails, because I don't think turtles have nails. So I love the super chat, Chrissy, and it's a very fun idea. I would do it digitally, but I don't want to do it on this original, if that's okay. Sweet idea to give him some toenail polish and make him look presentable for the ladies and Splinter and all that good stuff. Sensei, hey! It's my coworker Kenny. Kenny, it's so late, but thank you so much for dropping in. I'm feeling a little better, Kenny, and I actually talked to our store manager today about hopefully coming back next week. I'll find out more information on Monday, but I miss you. I miss like the other people that we work with. I sincerely do. I love my coworkers, folks. I do. They're the reason why it's worth going to work. And hopefully, maybe next week I can do that. Chrissy, you don't lose. I just don't want to put toenail polish on this drawing. You don't lose. Have I done Casey Jones before? I don't think I ever have tried to draw Casey Jones. But so there we go. That's the finished version of what I did tonight. Got to work with a lot of different tools today. Brush pens, not brushes, but brush pens, nibs, and ink, technical pens, correction fluid, an X-Acto knife, and Screentones. And I think that the Screentones really... Let me see if I can zoom in a little, just out of curiosity. See if I can get you guys a better shot of this. Configure video, camera control. So I'm zoomed way in at this point. And then like I can sort of move it. So like here we go. Like that's you can't quite, like this camera isn't quite got the fidelity to show you that there's like a sort of a dot pattern here that gives it a texture, but hopefully up close you can at least see that there's like a, you know, some shading going on and some different like looks to like, you know, these wraps versus like this knee pad, and you can sort of get a sense of just some definition to it, I hope. But that's what I created tonight, and it's thanks to all of you being here that it was fun and interesting to do. I'm gonna take off in just a sec. Let me just take a look at the chat room, see if there's any questions I'm missing. Toenail polish is canon. You missed that issue. Yeah, probably. How thick is the corrective? Tipex is 2 millimeters, I am sure. I don't know if it tells me how... It just says fine point. There definitely could be some things out there that are finer, but like I'll just sort of show that's the point on this, and then I'll show you like an 0.1 micron as comparison. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's probably something closer, like this is like about a 5, I don't know, something like that. It was fun hanging out with you, and that's an awesome Donatello that you've drawn. Well, that's so kind of you, Daniel. Thank you so much. But you know what? I always say, creating a single drawing is easy. Creating a sequential story, that's hard. It's not hard to just make one good-looking image. Anybody can do that. I'm serious. Anybody can make one good-looking drawing. The challenge to making good comics is being able to draw more than this. Like, give this an environment with good perspective. Then show the next panel and have it be clear what's happening from one panel to the next, and leaving the right amount of space for any dialogue or narration. Those are the important things that make a good comic book artist versus just an illustrator. If you want to be a cartoonist, there's a lot more sort of techniques that you have to sort of play with and get good at. And so it's nice. I appreciate the compliments. I'm pretty happy with this drawing as well, honestly. But it's not quite the same as making a comic. I will say that. It's been real. Yep. See you, Captain Negativity. Thank you for being here, Ben. Thank you for being here. Rosho Films, Darth, Ian Kapowski, Michael Aidson, Rukor, Knapp. Yeah. Loved seeing a new technique tonight. Thanks, Gene. Thanks for being here, especially so late. I really appreciate it. Boy, really late for you. I hope you can get plenty of sleep before you have to go to work. Daryl, thank you for being here. I don't have a full list of everybody in the chat. I'm just reading, like, the comments, and it means a lot to me that everybody was here. That was very, very fun. And I had fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to go finish my dinner, eat without talking. what else can I say? I guess I don't have anything else. So, just know that I'm working on the next comic tropes. I'm probably going to reach out to some people for some potential interviews soon. And, you have the weekend off. Fantastic. I'm glad you were able to stay tonight. And what else was I going to say? Oh, this is minor. But just, like, if you want to suggest stuff here and in the Twitter, suggesting is fine. I'll take it under consideration. If you're a patron, I'll take it under very serious consideration. But at the end of the day, I do not take requests. And this particular week, I got, like at least four, I think 5 separate people, not just requesting something, like sending me emails and private messages, like sort of demanding that I do something. And, first of all, kind of rude. I provide you with a free show. I mean, if you want to, donate or watch to the end or, something that helps, but you don't have to. I don't take requests, because if I did, I feel like I'd have to take almost everybody's requests and I'd never get to the stuff that I'm passionate about. So it's just not feasible. I book my ideas pretty far in advance and I work very hard on them. And so, anyway, I've had some people that not only like really sort of demanded stuff, but a couple people that wouldn't really take my polite no and just kept hitting me. And it's like, I don't know. It's just such a sense of entitlement. Maybe it's only 1 or 2 people out of obviously many thousands of people that are watching. So ultimately, it's not like something that keeps me up at night, but I just want to like put out there, I don't take requests. If you want to just suggest something through social media, that's different. I'll always listen to you if you have like something like a recommendation. That's how I find good comics. If you want to suggest something, and I've now heard that like, a ton of times, that like tickles the back of my head and I go, oh, okay, that's something people are interested in. But when you're like, this isn't just somebody saying, I want you to do an episode on this character. This is stuff like people saying like, either they want to be on the episode or they want me to do an episode about something that will promote like their comic or their organization or something like that. And I'm like, I can see the benefit to you. I don't necessarily see the benefit to me. So anyway, it's been a tough week. Some people are saying that they saw what I was talking about on Twitter. I posted the tiniest bit at the end of one of these interactions, but whatever. It's not the worst, but I just wanted to put out there. And trust me, everybody in this chat has been totally polite. I'm not annoyed at any of you. I am grateful to have you guys here. You're amazing. Just renting. I meant to say rant or vent, and I put that together and I said, I'm just renting. So, I'm just renting. Will I do commission pieces? I really don't have time to do them right now, Rucor, but if I ever do, I'll mention it. If I ever have time for commissions, I'd put that out there. Right now, it's not something I have time to do. So, this has been going for just shy of 3 hours. That's a pretty long stream. I am exhausted. I'm not quite over COVID, so I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to have my dinner, some water, and relax. But you guys have been amazing. You've honestly made this a really, really fun night. So I'm going to take off, and I just want you to keep reading comics. Those are your marching orders. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.